Hi, everybody. Welcome to my channel, Numbers with Nora. This is a math tutoring channel that helps you with all your math tutoring needs. For this video, we're going to be continuing statistics, chapter 1, lesson 1.4, and we're going to be doing some example problems from the previous video I did, which was about section 1.4 in specifics. Let me look up for specifics of that video. That was going to be other effective sampling methods, okay? So again, if you need any insights on the book that I'm using, it's going to be called Michael Sullivan section 3 or edition 3. And if you need resources on how to obtain this book by PDF or a hard copy or for free, just leave a comment and I'll let you know. And so let's get on with the practice problems. All right, so in order to do these practice problems, you have to know the vocabulary that I went through in the past video. All right, so I'm going to do all the even ones on these ones. I'll probably make another video on the odd, or I'm going to do all the odd ones on these videos. If you want the even problems, let me know, and I'll make a video on those. So for 11, let's look at this one. So let's first identify what they're asking of us, okay? So they're asking us to identify the type of sampling used, okay? So in statistics, these are the 4 types of sampling that are commonly used, okay? You have stratified sampling, which I went over in my past video, systematic sampling, which requires a sample size that is not of a number you can count, cluster sampling, and then convenience sampling, right? If you need review on those, look at my past video, and those will give you a review. All right, so for number 11, to estimate the percentage of defecates in a recent manufacturing batch, a quality control manager at Intel selects every 8th chip that comes off the assembly line, starting with the 3rd until she obtains a sample of 140 chips. So I'm always a big fan of underlining and annotating, especially when you're doing word problems, which with statistics, you get a lot of word problems like this. So you annotate, okay? One thing I noticed is they said the 8th. Okay, which means like there's going to be a sequence in here. There are going to be numbers that you can't count on and on and on and on. Okay, so that's a clue. Okay, and then from that clue, we can know this is going to be systematic sampling. Okay, so for number 11. Of course, systematic sampling is when you don't have an exact range. So that's going to be system. I will just put sys. Okay. So that one's going to be systematic sampling for number 11. Right? So again, I'm doing the odds. Let's go to 13. So for 13, to determine customer opinion of its boarding policy, Southwest Airlines randomly selected, okay, that's important. Well, underline after, randomly selected 60 flights during a certain week and surveys all passengers on the flights. So again, annotating and underline what gives you hints, okay? So one thing that gives me hints is this randomly selects all 60 flights during a certain week and surveys all passengers on the flight. That's very important information that they give us, okay? So for this one, we are going to sit there and consider this one a cluster sample, okay? The reason for that is, remember, a cluster sample is kind of hard to sit there and group people into certain groups, and you can have some questions that arise, right? So if we read this one again, to determine customer opinions, again, opinion is a good one too, because you don't know what somebody's opinion is going to be, right? So this is going to be hard to collect data from. And randomly, that's another good one. Randomly, opinion, these words are good. Opinion, randomly, and then all passengers. It's just kind of like, it leaves like question up in the air. So when that happens, it's going to be cluster sampling, okay? So this is going to be cluster sampling. Of a cluster. Right. That one was kind of a difficult one. All right, so then I'll do 15 and 17 because I don't want the video to be that long. 15 and 17. Yeah. All right. So for 15, let me zoom in. In an effort to identify whether an advertising campaign has been effective, a marketing firm conducts, that's again, a marketing firm is really important, conducts a nationwide poll by randomly selecting individuals from a list of known users of the product. Okay, I think this one's a little bit more harder. So marketing, I know in my past video I said marketing usually uses, I believe it was convenience sampling. With companies, I know that, so I would say it would be convenience sampling. But let's read the rest of the information to sit there and see. It should be an effect to identify whether an advertising campaign has been effective. Selecting individuals from a list of known users. Okay, so the list of known users is going to sit there and also help us out as well. I believe this one is going to be just normal, simple, random selection. Okay. If not, I would have said it was going to be convenience. But this one's going to be simple. And if you did pick convenience, I believe that one would have still been correct because it's from a marketing standpoint and you're selecting individuals from a list that you already have. Okay. So I would have totally, if I was a researcher, I would have totally sat there and considered this as convenience as well. So I'll put simple and then / convenience because this would, I would consider be convenience marketing or convenience sampling. I'll just put codes. Okay. So either or, whichever you picked should be okay. Right. Again, you can sit there and look at this definition bank that I had created. Okay. All right, let's do one more. 17 is going to say a farmer divides his orchard into 50 subsections. That's important. 50 subsections. So we have some groups going on. Randomly selects 4 and randomly, that's important as well. Randomly selects 4 and samples all the trees within the 4 sections to approximate the yield of his orchard. Okay. Oh, there's some good ones in here. So samples all the trees. All right, so farmer divides. So we know there's some grouping going on in here. So we know it's not going to be, oops, sorry, excuse me. So we know it's not going to be satisfied because in satisfied, in my last video from our bank that we're going for from. Satisfied considers groups that, let me look back at my notes. Satisfy goes by, it does satisfy goes by dividing groups, but that whole group are homogeneous. They're all the same. Okay, they're all the same age range, or you can cut them into different age range and stuff like that. I don't think this is stratified. Let's see. Let me read a little bit more. And 4 subsections. There's 4 subsections. For this one, I believe it's going to be a cluster. Because see how I was sitting there like trying to go into my mind, like, can I put this into these groups into certain categories? Like 50 subsections randomly. Again, that's why I underlined that, randomly selected, you know, in samples of all 3 trees. It's just kind of all over the place. When it seems like confusing to try to categorize it, that's going to be a cluster, okay? So I did this example. It's going to be a cluster. And again, if you thought it was going to be a status one, because you can put it in groups, it's not, because you have a lot of questions, okay? It's randomly selected. Okay, that's a cluster. All right. So to keep this video short, those are the odd ones I'm going to do currently. If you want to see the even problems, or if you want to see more of these problems done and more examples, leave a comment, drop down your question. I will answer it and give you word by word definition of how to do it. Okay. Thank you guys.